Welcome to The Artist Politic. Today we sit down with Jessica Dobson of Deep Sea Diver at the Sunset Tavern in Ballard. We talk about how touring with Beck and The Shins changed her perspective on her career, her work with Seattle's unhoused community, and the ways her faith informs her creative work. Jessica Dobson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Let's dive into music.
Okay.
Can you tell me about the first song you ever wrote?
The first song I ever wrote was on the piano, and it was like some ragtime ditty that I did.
No kidding.
Because I was learning like Scott Joplin. I was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, and that was just like some of the records my parents listened to was like some ragtime.
No kidding.
And so,
okay.
And I wanted to impress my parents. And so it was either like a waltz or a ragtime song, but I remember that being the first song I ever wrote. It didn't have any lyrics to it.
Yeah.
But like the little trills and like kind of special things that come along with chromatic walk downs and like ragtime music, I was incorporating that and it felt fun.
When's the first time that lyrics came into the picture for you?
I think the first time lyrics came into the picture was in junior high when I wrote a song. Oh my gosh, hold on. I think actually I remember the lyrics. They just came back to me. It was like something about, if I called you on the phone, would you know my name? I really need your love. I'm going through so much pain. I really need to know if you'd ever let go, but this is what I know. So obviously I knew how to rhyme back then, thank God. Which is like such a kid song, oh my God. But it was just like my first like foray into figuring out how to write lyrics and what works or whatever. And I had just picked up a guitar, I think, at that time.
Yeah.
Like it was like 6th grade. And I just wrote this like weird little broken-hearted ballad, even though I don't even think I had a boyfriend. But
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, who was it about? Was it about, or was it just about the idea of being brokenhearted?
I think it was the idea of,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd had my heart broken yet.
Oh,
but
that's so cute.
I think I just wanted to perform. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll just try to write some lyrics. And it was really fun. I think my first performance was at like the San Diego Zoo, like because we had a field trip there and someone told me to bring a guitar. And so my class like watched me perform or something.
What did you perform?
That song.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And I think I probably learned another song. I'm trying to think of like what's weird is at that time, like that's when like Beck was really big and Losers, one of like the first songs I learned on guitar. And Where It's At, and it was weird to be playing those songs like years later, but so maybe I performed one of those too, I don't know.
Wow. So you went from, we'll just say that it's true, that you performed a Beck song in front of your classmates. Let's say it's true.
My really cheesy song, and then I did Where It's At.
Yeah. And then fast forward 10 years or whatever it was, and you are standing 5 feet from the Beck, playing those same songs.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was very bizarre.
Yeah. How long did that stint last?
I just did one tour with him, or like one cycle for Modern Guilt. So that was in 2009, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And got to play lead guitar for him, which was such a trip. Such a trip.
Yeah. I mean, I have all sorts of questions about that whole process, like how you even got to that point. But I guess the better question is stepping on the stage for the first time, standing next to him. What would that feel like?
Well, the very first show we played was a secret show, or I think it was a surprise, like really last minute announced at the Echo in Hollywood, or it was in Echo Park.
Right.
And that was wild. And a ton of my friends were there because you just got to get a bunch of people on the guest list. And I mean, it felt very, very surreal. I think probably like the most surreal performance though was like when he headlined the Hollywood Bowl. I think that was like his biggest hometown show.
Yeah.
At that point, and like walking out on stage. The Philharmonic was playing with us. And I mean, we played songs off of Sea Change and we rehearsed with the Philharmonic. I mean, it was just wild. Yeah. And but seeing like my parents in the very front row as we're walking out, and I'm playing this slide part on like Loser or something, and like my mom is just like singing like I'm a loser, babe, and I'm just like what the like, and then I'm like looking out in the audience, and I was like, oh, there's like George Clooney, there's Danger Mouse, there's Britt Daniel from Spoon, just like seeing all these like celebrities and be like, where am I? I mean, it's like when you're playing LA shows at the Hollywood Bowl, they all want to be up in that little pit area, and so you're seeing all these celebrities, but like, that was very bizarre and very cool.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Shins.
Okay.
What's like your biggest takeaway from that time? Like, what did you learn, either about making music and playing live, or just about life in general?
Oh man, there's a lot. It's hard for me to whittle it down. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway probably was that I learned that I truly did want to have my own band, like through the process of enjoying being in that band so much and being like a right-hand woman, whatever, to James, and like just kind of seeing how a really legit live show was put on. Like, it just made me so excited to go back home and release the first Deep Sea Diver record. Yeah. Because it was pretty much released in tandem with like that Shins record, which was, I'm totally blanking on the name of the actual album. It'll come to me. And then shortly thereafter, it like released my record, or Deep Sea Divers record, and like was just, I think it gave me the confidence to like, I can do this. I'm gonna give it my whole heart. And I learned a lot from James and the way that he, I'd been a fan for a long time of the Shins, and just how he's such a good songwriter, and like, by osmosis, I feel like just playing those songs was just like, oh, okay, like I can tighten up my arrangements, and like I love, parts that he would put interesting harmonies in, and I would kind of try to apply that to my music. And I was stretched as a guitar player even more, like Beck stuff stretched me, and Shins even more so. And so I just kind of got all these things to put in my toolbox and bring back home.
You're a driven, creative person. You're a driven, creative force.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. That's not even a compliment. That's just a fact. Where do you think that comes from?
I think my personality, just inherently, I just love performing. I think, to harken back to like that first song that I wrote in junior high, or like the little waltz or ragtime thing I wrote, it's just like, oh, I like love sharing things with people. And, that developed into being able to, starting to learn how to process my emotions. So out of performance then came like, okay, like I love poetry, and I'm totally a lyrics person. I really adore Nick Cave, Leonard Cohen, PJ Harvey, like just, I don't know, these sagey, salty people that write just like such devastatingly good lyrics. And so I strive a lot for that. And I just love having something to offer and share with people that hopefully will help, in turn, help them process what they're going through, or just be exciting, or be a song full of joy that they can, I don't know, celebrate to, or feel all the things to and cry to. Yeah. And so my favorite aspects of the whole like process of being a musician and a performer is like the spark of when you first have a song. I have the hardest time finishing a song. Peter's really good at helping me because I overthink things. And so he's just like, no, you already have it. You have part A, part B, now you just write a part C and get going. And I have a really hard time calling something finished. So the spark, I love that. And then I like love being in the studio, where like hopefully the magic of just like not having too many things planned, so you're able to come up with things on the spot. Like I love being put on the spot.
Yeah.
And coming up with, I have like a producer mindset and composition and just like hearing these little holes. And so I love the studio for that. And then I love when it's done and just getting to play live shows and connecting with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of things I love about it, but those are the biggest things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about this new record.
Okay.
But it sounds so good.
Thank you.
I sent you a little message when I first heard it, but
thanks, Sam.
I mean, I really do think it's next level for you.
Thank you.
I mean, I can hear it. It's it's not Charlie review hour, but
Charlie, I'm starving for affirmation. Actually, I am. So just keep going.
Well, we can talk about it. We can talk about it. I'll tell you all the things I love about it. It does sound like to me that there's I don't know how to formulate this. It just sounds like the songs sound personal, and like you're working out. It just seems self-reflective, maybe, and that you're working through some kind of emotions in each and every song. Are there any stories that you would want to share about any of those songs?
One of the first songs that come to mind is Walking on a Switchblade. And so I've been working or volunteering at this place called the Aurora Commons over the last 2-3 years. And it's had like such an effect on me. So the Commons is just like a safe place for a lot of like our unhoused neighbors and like women who work along Aurora and live and work along Aurora and like, you know, a lot of marginalized people are coming through the Commons, you know, drug addicted and or drug dependent and like, and so it's just like a safe place for them to just be and to be respected and like they make their own meals there. It's not a soup kitchen. It's like there's food for them to make. There's a full kitchen, laundry, like a bunch of services, a mobile clinic for women and like just such a beautiful place that just like if, you know, for a lot of these people, it's like their community's been stolen from them. And so it's a place to like, say like, no, like you are important, your voice is important, you are loved and special and you're going to be respected here. So that place had a really big impact on me and I've made a lot of friends there. Yeah. And Walking on a Switchblade. So the Switchblade, that's the street name for Aurora, but what's really crazy is before I wrote this song, like I knew what I was writing about. It was about one of the experiences that I'd heard one of the ladies talk about when she was going to commit suicide and then ended up not committing suicide. I started writing a song about it and like I don't know, the term walking on a switchblade, just this fine thing, you know, just like it's so painful. And I didn't know that the Commons or the Aurora, the nickname for it was the Switchblade. And then the person, one of the founders from the Commons, I showed her the song and she's like, oh yeah, the street name for Aurora. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, it's called the Switchblade. I mean, and I think it's mostly people that are on the streets that call it the Switchblade. And I was like, you're kidding me. That is so crazy. And the original lyrics were like walking with a switchblade. And then once I learned that the street name was the Switchblade, then it turned into walking on a switchblade. And I actually really liked it even more. Yeah. Just like, oh, that's so dark, but that's what it is. Yeah. So, yeah. That song comes from that time in my life.
Wow. How did you get involved with the Aurora Commons?
I met the founder outside of a bar when like I said, it's like probably the best thing that came from me when I was a smoker. The best thing that came out of smoking. I quit smoking like 1.5 years ago. Oh, wow. Which was part of the process that I had to go through of like learning
the album making
new ways to deal with my anxiety and depression and all that crap. But like, one of the founders of the Commons, I met her outside of a bar. She bummed a cigarette and I just asked what she was all about and where she worked and she invited me to like one of the benefits and then I just like instantly fell in love with that place when I found out what it was about.
It's awesome. Oh, man. Do you stay tuned in to the political circus in our country right now?
I would say that I'm aware of the larger events that are going on, but I had to stop following daily reports of like I don't give a fuck what Trump is tweeting about.
Yeah.
I just don't want to hear his voice. I know, I'm aware of like political issues within the country right now, but I couldn't ride that train anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally understand. Yeah. Were you just getting too kind of emotionally involved?
Yeah, it was just like, when you're being bombarded by only negative news and just such crazy emotional pendulum swinging, you start to lose sight of what the beautiful things are in the world, that they still exist, and there still are things to hope for, and just but when it's just constantly incessant news like that, I started seeing a very direct correlation between my negativity and cynicism. And that's not the person, I didn't want to be that person. And so it's being, of course, educated and knowledgeable about what's going on for me, but I can't be in the cesspool the whole time.
Yeah. I hear that. It's a tough balance though, right? Because the issues are real, right? The tweets have real impact,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
But I totally understand not being able to follow it. I can't follow it every day either.
Yeah, totally.
But staying informed and staying somewhat active.
Yeah. I will say a good thing that's come from all of that was it made me, because I had to ask myself the question, okay, I feel helpless in these large issues of what, for me as a single human being, what can I do to change this? I don't know. What can I do on a local level? There are plenty of things.
Yeah.
What can I do in my own relationships and friendships and marriage and all these things? Okay, there's a lot of work I have to do.
Yeah.
But it gave me too much stress to how do I change the election? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But I do care about the people around me, and I don't know. I think that's where it begins. So.
Yeah, right. How much did I might be putting words in your mouth a little bit, but you said earlier something about kind of anxiety and a little depression and figuring all that out, and it sounds like the Trump circus kind of fed into that spiral. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was part of it. Yeah, that and the beginning of the Me Too movement, and when Weinstein and all that stuff came out, and just definitely unearthed a lot for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. How much has volunteering with people at the sorry, I'm blanking out.
The Aurora Commons.
Aurora Commons. How much has that alleviated some of that anxiety spiral?
Well, I think for the people that we're friends with at the Commons, it's everything is so much more instantaneous. It's what do you need right now?
Yeah.
It's not a lot of in your head what's going to happen. It's no, I need this thing right now, or I'm going to die, or whatever it is.
Right.
And so it puts you very much in the present here and now. And I think I needed to be reminded of that in my own life, of being present with people, and I can often be in my head and overthinking things or worrying about the future or whatever it is, and oftentimes there are good things to think about, but I was kind of losing myself to that spiral. And I think being with actual human beings that have very present needs, like we all do, but like I said, they can't hide it because they're not behind four walls.
Right.
It shows you your own need, and then you see these needs that you want to meet and want to help, and helping them find the resources to connect those dots. And
yeah.
So that was really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any concrete ways that you've applied that lesson to your personal needs?
I think being more vulnerable with people, more vulnerable on this album, the next one coming out. There were some things where I was just like, is that too simplistic what I'm saying right there? Are the lyrics good enough? Because usually I would be a little bit more poetic about that line. And, being like almost afraid to be that honest, fearing that it might be perceived as trite or whatever it is, but it's just like, no, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I was going through and that's what I have to say. And there are other parts of that song that are more poetic, but this one line that might sound embarrassing to roll off of my tongue, like I need to say that, and maybe it'll help somebody else too.
Yeah, that's great.
Sweet.
Yeah. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, I love being put on the spot.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Then this is the lightning round.
Okay.
What's your most used emoji?
Oh, probably a clown. The clown one.
Really?
It's so ugly. Or the cowboy guy.
Is the clown like a do you just use it for everything? Or is there a specific use case?
Usually if I ask somebody something that I probably shouldn't be asking them. And then
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If you could tackle one social, political issue in a song, what would it be?
Okay, social. Gosh, I mean, I can only really, I think, speak to what I know now or I'm involved with now, and it would be like what's going on in Seattle with like our unhoused neighbors.
Yeah.
So I try to like, I don't know, create awareness for like what is helpful, and it's not an easy answer for at all.
Right.
But yeah, I would hope to be more of a speakerphone for those voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think those people need most?
So housing, like, yeah, that's the short answer.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, so a lot of people when they're getting clean, like they'll get temporary housing, but then it goes away, and it's so hard to stay clean.
Yeah.
When that goes away.
Sure.
Because then you're back on the street again, and it's a vicious cycle. Just like long-term commitments to those people who really need it, and we're getting now into more psychological talk, but like Brene Brown, she talks about shame and how it's completely like interwoven with addiction. And so just like people that are in houses, we carry a lot of shame around with us, but the only difference with those people that are on the streets is they don't have four walls to like hide behind. So it's like a holistic thing. I want them to, have shelter, and then also be able to like come to terms with whatever, has happened to them, or like, because they all have just the craziest stories of how they got there or what's been done to them, and it's just it's awful. So,
what's your corporate guilty pleasure?
Amazon, what is it called? Fresh, or no, like when they deliver day of.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like
And I only use my mom's account. I don't have, I feel too guilty having my own Amazon account.
Yeah.
But like if I need something day of.
Yep.
I'm up on there.
Yeah.
But
you have
Amazon, man. Yeah.
I canceled my Prime account in protest like a couple years ago. But I will be honest on camera, a month ago I had to buy like all these textbooks.
Okay.
And I put in real effort trying to get them from other places,
Sure.
I really did. And I just either couldn't find them, or they were like literally twice as much money, and I had to buy like a stack.
And whose fault is that?
Mine.
Amazon's.
Amazon. It is. No, I know. Yeah. But but I'm ashamed to say I started like a trial Prime account so I could get the stupid books, right? And it's like, I feel bad about it.
Yeah, nobody's a saint.
Yeah.
It's like it's so hard to not participate. But yeah, they're ruining a lot.
Yeah. What do you think we can do about it?
Oh gosh. I mean, I don't think I have any crazy answer other than just like, for me, I go to shows, I buy records,
Yeah.
I try to deal with people as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I'd want that for myself, for people experiencing us, or as a band, and like, so I love supporting mom and pop places and or just people that are doing good work.
Yeah.
So but convenience is a slippery slope.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It's tough to say no. And it's tough to say no for people like us that are even conscious about it, right? Like we're even thinking about it. And then there's like a whole bunch of people that maybe don't think it all the way through and they just enjoy the convenience, right?
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's even harder to avoid.
It's
tough to reach out to those people.
Oh yeah.
Right.
For sure.
I want to ask you about your faith, because I know you've talked a little bit about it publicly, and I know in your previous records there are songs that touch on that part of your life. Right?
Yeah, totally.
And I just have a bunch of questions about it. Like,
cool.
Starting with, in those early Atlantic days, was Christianity at all a part of those songs?
Well, I mean, I grew up in a Christian household, and my parents, took me to church in good old Orange County. Very I grew up in a very evangelical bubble. And then as I got older, made my own decisions of or my parents were always super cool about nobody ever forced me to go to church or believe what they believed or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the things that I believe now are much different than the things that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So I guess I mean, I'm trying to think of this song. Do you mean were those songs explicitly Christian?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think any song I've written, besides I have written a handful of hymns, because I love old hymns.
Yeah.
And I've written songs explicitly for the church.
Yeah.
For a congregation to sing.
Right.
But not I don't have I wouldn't consider the music that I write explicitly Christian. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It is strange to talk about. It should be, but I think there are a lot of. I think for me, there's a lot of things that I just people when people hear the word Christian, they automatically think Western evangelical, closed-minded, but all the cultural Christianity stuff that I've had to spend a lot of years distancing myself from because I don't relate or resonate with it.
Do you encounter that a lot? That sort of, I guess, prejudice, when people, find out, or whatever,
Totally,
I'm
yeah.
getting at.
Yeah, and I'm not hiding anything.
Right,
but but it is a sensitive subject. People's faith is sensitive.
Right.
And because there are people out there that are completely judgmental about it. And I think I've encountered more of a curiosity as of late of just why do you believe the things you believe, and tell me about how your views have changed since from what you were raised in, and because I have a ton of friends who were raised in the same kind of Christian mold that I was raised in, and who want nothing to do with that anymore as well, and who wouldn't call themselves Christians anymore, and I completely understand. Yeah. Completely. And so it's taken me a long time to figure out what it is that I believe in.
What do you think, when thinking about those childhood friends that kind of came up in the same environment you did, what do you think are the biggest factors that are driving them away from the church?
Oh, I guess just a lot of judgment And, you know, like the just like ugliness of like people trying to shame you or control you. And I think that is like literally the opposite of what Christianity should be about.
Yeah.
Which is about acceptance and loving people unconditionally and just like, yeah, like loving God and loving your neighbors. It's like pretty simple when you lay it out that way.
Yeah.
But people like to complicate things and they love power and they like to yield that over you. And so, yeah, no, for a lot of reasons, like that's probably one of the biggest things that drives people away. It's just like, these people are no fun to hang out with.
Right.
And like be very judgmental and like, and that does exist 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord, we're seeing that in so many ways now, you know, even politically.
Sure.
And it's just, ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
No bueno.
So how have you found your place in all of that? Because you haven't been completely driven away by the evangelical kind of core, but you're still very much involved. Like, how did you carve out that place for yourself?
Well, I think like, you know, like I said, like the core element is like what I'm like, I guess since I was a kid, like I've always believed there was a God, and that's never really something like that I've questioned or anything like that. And like I love like if you take whatever, just like Jesus and like what he was about, like they're really awesome things that he did and was about.
Yeah.
And like that's what I care about, and all of the other stuff that comes along with it and that I had to sort out, it's just not of interest to me. Or like I don't think that that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And so, and it's, you know, through whatever, just like meeting other people who I resonate with and who've either gone through that stage of their life, you know, having grown up in a certain way, who, you know, I see as living lives that are just like loving people and like wanting to see, you know, the people who are marginalized and their voices heard, and like, you know, being inclusive and all those things. Like that's what makes me excited about living life. And so, yeah, I guess that's like maybe a weird answer to your question, but
not at all.
Yeah.
So if you could impart one lesson to, I guess, your fans, your listeners, or just people in general, what would you teach them?
I'm no guru, but if I could impart one lesson, or I guess for me, I try to live life in a way that doesn't take myself too seriously, that holds close the people that I love, and it tries to be vulnerable and, I don't know, in a place that still allows myself to be curious and have a lot of awe and wonder for the things that are going on around me, not to get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to have that happen and then to kind of lose who you are. And so, yeah, I don't know if that's something to impart to others, but that's how I try to live my life.
Yeah. It's awesome. Jessica Dobson.
Thanks.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks, Charlie, for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.